All right, Final Four tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have in the first game George Mason taking on they're playing
George Mason, Florida's first,
yeah.
huh?
Have you seen the money flowing in on Florida? It started as Florida by 4, and now it's up to Florida at 5.5.
Wow.
So everybody likes Florida. I think you and I like Florida. We'll get more into that coming up at 8:50. Then LSU and UCLA in the nightcap. And joining us on the ticket hotline to discuss the Final Four is our college basketball expert, the former coach at Lamar and at Oklahoma. It's Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, Chuck.
It's Craig and George here, actually.
Okay.
Well, what are your predictions for the matchups tomorrow?
I like basketball, Chuck. It is fun, Chuck. One time I stuffed a basketball in my mouth and went to a Denny's.
Well, we were just trying to kind of focus on the games tomorrow, Coach, and the semifinals and who you like and kind of, break down the games.
Some see this as a matchup between a Cinderella mid-major and an established program from the SEC.
Uh-huh.
You know the game I am talking about?
George Mason, Florida?
Yes. But I don't see it as a matchup between a Cinderella mid-major and an established program.
What do you see it as?
I see it as more of a chance to urinate in a teepee of pickles. Chuck.
That's how you view that game.
Yes.
This is Billy Tubbs with us, the often crazy and controversial former head coach at Lamar. Any other thoughts about tomorrow's matchups?
I'm going to watch the Final Four with a pit bull nursing my privates and an abbot punching me in the face. Chuck.
Boy, that's crazy. Hey, by the way, how'd you end up in your final year as head coach at Lamar?
My last year at Lamar was unsuccessful, Chuck.
Why is that?
I didn't have one human on the team. I started 1 lemur and 4 grackles. And our shooting percentage was horrible.
I can imagine.
I have an important springtime question for you, Chuck.
Okay.
Can you get your nuts laminated? I have a wild Easter plan.
George, you probably know more about that.
I'm going to say no on that. That's okay.
As I am talking to you, I am riding the face of a unicorn and slapping my ass with a book of children's fairy tales.
Oh, my gosh.
Funny, we can't hear that. Billy Tubbs with us talking college basketball?
Kind of.
LSU has that big baby.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Know what he reminds me of? That I have a 2 o'clock appointment with an unsuccessful sodomite.
Oh, my gosh.
Chuck.
Right, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually Craig and
All right,
George.
so your pick to win the national championship is?
Do you know that I never have to eat, ever?
What do you mean?
I actually call my strength from the dreams of children.
That is so
That's
weird.
a little creepy, too.
Billy?
I gave birth to a doo-doo baby last night, Chuck.
All right.
Unfortunately, it was stillborn.
Oh.
But it was crying.
Billy, I think you need to go get some help.
I am writing you a special Easter poem, Chuck, but I'm having some difficulty.
Are you?
Do you know anything that rhymes with the phrase, entrails on my hardened lap?
George?
No, I can't think of anything. I really can't.
My prediction for the Final Four
Yes.
is that I will join Casper Weinberger in holy death. Please pray that I go to hell.
Oh, my God.
All right, we've got college basketball brewing. March Madness is here. Conference tournament action this week. NCAA tournament action next week. And if you've listened to this show for any period of time, you know that we, over the years, I've gotten to know Billy Tubbs, the former TCU basketball coach. He used to do a weekly show here on this station back when we carried the TCU games in the early years of the ticket. He's always been a little out there. He's a little crazy. Got that Jack Nicholson crazy look about him and that crazy quality. But he knows his hoops, and so joining us now on the ticket hotline is the now athletic director at Lamar University down in Beaumont, Billy Tubbs. Hi, Billy.
Hello, Chuck.
Well,
George and Craig.
Yeah, it's Chuck doesn't work here anymore. That's who you used to do a show with.
I have not spoken to you in many years, Chuck, but you are still the source of 38% of my sexual fantasies.
Well, I guess that's nice to know. I don't know.
I want to invite you over for drinks, Chuck. Do you like 1 or 2 baboon testicles in your martinis?
How about we start with 0 and then talk college basketball? What are your...
That sounds good, Chuck.
All right. We were talking about the Big 12 with Seth Davis. Who do you like out of the Big 12 this weekend?
I coached college basketball for a long time, Chuck. The best player I ever saw was not ever NCAA eligible. He was an ostrich that could shoot the 3 like a chihuahua on crack.
Really?
An ostrich?
That's correct, Chuck.
Best player, and you never got to play him.
Kurt Thomas was the greatest player I've ever coached, though. He led the nation in scoring and rebounding the same year that I led the nation in semen donations to unsuspecting women's shelters.
Oh, my gosh.
Chuck.
I don't think you should ever admit something like that. That's really weird.
We think this is Billy Tubbs talking college basketball?
That's what we thought.
What do you think about the nationwide scene? Who do you think is the best team in the country?
The happiest I have ever been in competition was when I beat a frog in a game of checkers.
That's the happiest you've ever been. Not landing in a Final Four or something like that.
That's right, Chuck.
Hey, speaking of your old team, Oklahoma, looks like they got a chance to win a national championship with Blake Griffin.
As I'm speaking to you, Chuck, I'm dressed as Abe Lincoln while suspended on an inversion table with a shop vac tube hooked to my genitalia.
Oh, my gosh.
Should I turn it on to honor our fallen Confederate soldiers, Chuck?
No. Don't. Well, at least not during this call.
What the heck?
What is better than a woman, Chuck? I'm asking because I'm horny. Tell me, is it a rock, a goat, or an old piece of carpet?
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
Billy, we shouldn't answer questions like that, and you shouldn't ask them.
I'm writing a poem for you, Chuck.
Okay.
But I'm a little stumped. Do you know anything that rhymes with rivers of broadcast blood?
No.
How about something that rhymes with bunt?
No. Can't really think of anything there either.
How about maybe punt, the football term?
There you go, yeah.
Tomorrow I'm going to ride to Paducah on a chicken made of steak, Chuck.
Paducah.
It's going to be a long trip.
It is.
Are you okay, Billy?
I have a go-kart made of pickles.
Yeah, we've heard that.
Does this arouse your sister, Chuck? Tell me before the bleeding stops.
What is going on down there? We're talking college basketball with Billy Tubbs on the ticket.
I have a fun challenge for you, Chuck.
Okay.
I've committed 4 major felonies. You have to figure out what they are before the next cheerleader dies, Chuck.
Oh,
my.
That's enough. Would you stop it with stuff like that?
We're now going to have to turn you in.
I leave you with another poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm insane.
He has gone so far off the deep end.
Did we get any college basketball?
Absolutely. He said Kurt Thomas.
Yeah.
That was about as close as we got.
Joining us on the ticket hotline is an old friend of the show who this week announced that he's retiring from college athletics after a long time career as a basketball coach and athletic director. It's the great Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Billy. How are you?
Hello, Chuck.
It's actually Craig and George.
Yeah.
It's nice to speak with you again. I guess by now you found the bodies I left for you.
What?
Not sure what you're talking about.
You haven't found anything?
No.
Well, then don't go into the laundry room anytime soon, Chuck.
Golly, that's creepy.
You know, Coach, you were always a little left of center, a little strange. Just wondering, what it's been like for you as an athletic department head and why you decided to step down now.
I have resigned from being the athletic director at Lamar, Chuck.
Yes, we know.
Uh-huh.
I was caught having an inappropriate relationship with a marmoset.
No, we haven't heard that. We just heard you're stepping down because, you're kind of getting up there in age.
Then I withdraw the statement.
It's a little late for that.
Well, congratulations on a great career in athletics, Billy.
In response to that, I will put a packet of broken glass in my pants and try to leapfrog a fire hydrant, Chuck.
That's an odd response to that. So what are you going to do in retirement now?
I don't know why environmentalists are so worried about oiled-up pelicans in the Gulf, Chuck, when there have been about 40 of them in my bedroom closet over the past decade.
That is really strange.
What was the highlight of your career, Billy? Was it taking Oklahoma to the championship game?
I have adopted a horse, Chuck.
You have?
Do you know what I named him?
Huh.
Diseased Lover.
Oh, my gosh.
Do you think that's a good name for a horse, Chuck?
No.
It's not a pretty name.
No.
Do you know how many billiard balls I can fit in my rectum, Chuck?
Oh, gosh. No.
I guess you're Chuck, so yeah.
I don't know.
If you come over to my house within the next hour, you'll find out.
No one wants to see that.
Have you ever seen a giraffe in high heels hooking alligator clips to a Division I coach's nipples?
No.
Well, then can I plug my Facebook page?
Sure.
I have a question for you now, Chuck.
Okay.
Do you know what talks a lot and causes a big dent in my wall?
Talks a lot and causes a big dent in your wall. No.
A woman's face.
Oh, my gosh. Come on, Billy. Don't talk like that. That is terrible.
I use dirt as lubricant, and this makes the Archbishop laugh.
Jeez.
You are as crazy as ever.
I once got kicked out of a bank for wearing a zebra's umbilical cord as a necklace, Chuck. Goodbye, Chuck.
That was historical in that was the first time we ever had Billy Tubbs on where he didn't mention Kurt Thomas.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, too bad. 8:49 here on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
Big news this week, TCU joining the Big East. And we thought we would visit with this guy. It's always a little dicey to get him on the show because he's so left of center. He's so out in his own world. But we wanted to get his thoughts on this program going to the Big East because he's been around college sports and TCU for a long time. Joining us now on the ticket hotline is former TCU basketball coach Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Chuck.
It's actually Craig and George you're talking to.
That's good to hear, Chuck.
Well, tell us your initial thoughts when you heard that your old school was headed to the Big East.
I'm excited about TCU moving to the Big East, Chuck. I was once courted by Rutgers, but they balked at my requirements.
Like what?
I wanted to bring a chimpanzee and a goldfish to be my assistants.
I can see why they think that was a little strange. But do you think it's going to be a good thing for TCU to move to the Big East?
I am currently suspended from the ceiling with a broom handle inserted and a Romanian priest tasering my nipples, Chuck.
Gosh.
And every time he zaps me, I reproduce a little onto myself.
All right.
Should we let you go if that's the case?
TCU is leaving the Mountain West, Chuck.
Right?
When I was at TCU, I was mounting everything that moved, including a stuffed squirrel that was dressed as Elvis, Chuck.
That is really
Did we
strange.
need to know that?
I didn't.
This is Billy Tubbs with us here on the ticket discussing TCU's move to the Big East.
I was recently spotted riding a zebra through a bank drive-through, Chuck. I was making a withdrawal of all the pubic hair I've managed to save over the years.
What?
They kept that for you?
Yeah, why would you keep that in a bank?
I have a question for you, Chuck.
All right.
Do you know a doctor that will remove a person's eyeballs and replace them with walnuts, Chuck?
No, of course not.
Oh, well, I guess I'll just have to live another year with sight.
Well, why is that a bad thing, Coach?
Kurt Thomas is coming over for Christmas, Chuck.
Oh, one of
that's
your
good.
great players.
We are going to gut a reindeer and make love and play canasta inside its skin.
Oh, my gosh. So are you going to coach again, or are you definitely done coaching now?
I am going to become a gift giver this year, Chuck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's Christmas time. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, so do you know any bug chasers?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, do you, George?
No, of course not.
I'm trying to write a new Christmas carol about our relationship, Chuck. But for some reason, I can't make the phrase bludgeoning your face rhyme with baby Jesus.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
I'm insane now, Chuck.
We are too.
Oh, there he goes.
That's the triple fake Billy Tubbs we hadn't talked to in a while.
He hadn't changed a bit.
No. Former coach at TCU with his thoughts on the Horned Frogs moving to the Big East. 8:48 here on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
And joining us now on the ticket hotline to talk about it is our longtime buddy, our college basketball analyst, the former great basketball coach for Lamar and Oklahoma and TCU. It's the legendary Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, Chuck.
Well, what do you think of this field of 68 that we have this year? Some are saying it's kind of a weak field.
College sports is just about the best thing in the world, Chuck. The only thing that can rival it is being pleasured by a Sherpa as you scream the Pledge of Allegiance into a horse's rectum.
Oh, gosh. Never heard that really compared to college sports before. So who you like? You like the top seeds?
Well, in the Final Four in my bracket, Chuck, I have UT San Antonio, Arkansas Little Rock, and the dismembered legs of a kangaroo. Chuck.
It's George and Craig. We're visiting with Billy Tubbs, who was always seen as quite eccentric and a bit crazy. He's now retired, and I guess you're still following college basketball.
Sometimes when I am bored, I wedge my implants in between the couch cushions
Yeah?
and call over my Wolverine. Chuck.
What about some Big 12 teams? Some people pick Texas to go to the Final Four. How do you like the Longhorns' chances?
I have adopted a mangy mule, Chuck.
Why did I know he wouldn't answer the question?
Do you know why?
Why?
Because I am an ass lover, Chuck.
Again, it's George and Craig. You did a show with Chuck here on this station 17 years ago. We're not Chuck anymore.
I will always carry a special place in my heart for TCU, Chuck.
Uh-huh.
I will also always carry a purse made out of a wildebeest vagina.
What?
Chuck.
Talking college basketball with Billy Tubbs here on the Ticket. So you have a dark horse other than, I guess, UTSA and Arkansas Little Rock. Is there a real dark horse?
In response to that question, I will put a packet of broken glass in my pants and try to leapfrog an overly tall fire hydrant. That felt good.
Oh, you just did it.
I have a sports trivia question for you, Chuck.
All right.
Do you know what talks all kinds of trash and causes a dent in the hood of my car?
No.
Woman's face.
Oh, my God.
Chuck.
Billy? Are you still with us?
I'm here, Chuck. Do you have me?
Yeah, but you're just not doing much good for us when we're trying to talk college basketball. And the tournament that starts tonight, I would think this would bring up some great memories for you.
Yeah, you went to the final two back in '88.
Do you know how many shot puts I can fit in my bottom, Chuck?
No.
If you can make it over to my apartment within the next 15 minutes, you can find out.
I tell you what, Billy, we're going to let you go. Hope you have a good time watching the NCAA tournament, and maybe we'll check back in with you another time to talk some hoop.
Do you want to see the present I made for you, Chuck?
Probably not.
Follow the trail of blood. I think you'll like this one.
Gosh.
She fought like the Dickens.
What?
Oh,
Chuck.
we need to let you go and call police. He's not handling retirement well, is he?
That may be the last time we call fake Billy Tubbs. 8:49.
Billy Tubbs, who will share some insight as to what goes on behind the scenes at that program. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Chuck.
It's actually Craig and George here, but tell us a little bit about your time at TCU, and did you ever see any indication of drug use?
I did, Chuck. The drug use was out of control when I was at TCU.
Really?
It was really an amazing thing to witness. I once did a line of coke off a stripper's taint while a dentist tickled my ass with a peacock feather.
We didn't mean you so much. We meant like, just like around campus or in the athletic department.
Drugs are the greatest things on earth outside of panda porn, Chuck.
Always very weird experience to interview Billy Tubbs. He's always been a little left of center. I don't know where you want us to go with that, Coach.
Gary Patterson came over last night and administered a drug test to me, Chuck.
Oh, he did? What did it show?
I tested positive for mayonnaise.
I guess that's a problem, is it?
The only drug I like to do now, though, on a consistent basis, is sexual intercourse, Chuck.
Oh my gosh!
I can't always find a willing aardvark.
Oh my God!
Can you help me, Chuck?
No, we can't help you with that. We're calling you to get someone who's coached before, and in your case at TCU. Do you think TCU has a bigger problem than other schools do?
At TCU, I once took a syringe filled with the dreams of hobos and injected it into me. And 2 hours later, I was riding spread eagle on top of a caboose covered in molasses.
That's weird.
Here is a fun fact for you, Chuck.
Okay.
Do you know how many people a year die from pot use?
No. How many?
Hold on, let me go down to my basement and count.
Oh, my gosh.
Coach, are you okay?
Sometimes I vomit just to prove I still can.
Should we let you go, or...
Have you heard about the new drug called tankers, Chuck?
No.
It's a mixture of cocaine and bird ejaculate.
Oh, my God.
All right, Billy.
And you eat it on spaghetti. And it makes you feel like you can fly and allows you to count to 20 in German without giggling. I have to go now, Chuck. I have a chimp strung up on a deer skinning device, and he's crying for his Bible and Cocoa Puffs.
Oh, my
Wow, Billy.
God.
All right, we'll let you go.
He is crazier than ever before.
That didn't clear up anything.
The former head coach at Oklahoma, TCU, and most recently Lamar. It's the great Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Coach.
It is good to be on with you, Chuck.
It's actually Craig, but it's always good to have you on. And I know you're always excited this time of year come NCAA tournament time because you have so many great memories with the tournament.
Well, I can't stand to not be in the tournament this year, Chuck. So instead of watching this weekend, I'll be in a field in Ardmore, Oklahoma, knee-deep in a tub of medical waste, reading an upside-down book.
Okay, to each his own. I guess that's how you deal with being out of basketball.
I lost the tournament in 1988, Chuck. Did you know that?
Yes, when your Oklahoma Sooners were heavily favored to beat Kansas, but Danny and the Miracles took you down.
But I was okay with losing that, Chuck, because I was disappointed in the prize that they were offering.
What was that?
Turns out it was a trophy, and I thought we were playing for the hollowed-out carcass of a sperm whale. I was going to use it as a companion at movie premieres, Chuck.
This is former Lamar coach and TCU coach Billy Tubbs with us. Always a little left of center when he was coaching, and now maybe even more so in retirement. Are you sure you're doing okay?
Basketball has been very good to me, Chuck.
Chico Escuela bit breaking out here.
It has bought me a nice house, and it has bought me a series of cadavers that I can put in Greco-Roman wrestling poses, Chuck.
Again, it's Craig, but okay, I don't know why you need to go public with all of this.
Your name is now Craig, Chuck.
It's always been Craig.
I have filled out my bracket, Chuck.
Okay. Yeah, who do you have winning the whole thing this year?
I have filled out my bracket, and in every blank, I drew a picture of a penis shooting bullets. Chuck.
That's not really filling out a bracket, is it?
In response to that question, I will stick a pencil in my ear as far as I can, Chuck.
No, don't do that.
Do you know what my favorite scent is, Chuck?
I have no idea.
It is between fresh lilac and a menstruating woman.
Oh,
Chuck.
God. Okay. What about, can you at least give us, if you can't tell us who's going to win it all, maybe just maybe a sleeper team that we should look out for in the tournament?
They don't allow me in the basketball facilities anymore, Chuck.
In all facilities, or just down there at Lamar, or where?
Because they caught me autoerotic asphyxiating a warthog, Chuck. Which by definition is hard to do.
Yes.
Goodbye, Chuck.
Oh, is that it? Okay, I guess no more basketball analysis from Billy Tubbs. It's 8:47 on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. First, it's the championship game tonight from New Orleans, Kentucky, and Kansas. And joining us on the ticket hotline is our Dunham & Miller Show college basketball expert. He's the former head coach at Oklahoma, at TCU, and at Lamar. It's the great Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Chuck.
George and Craig.
Yeah, it's George and Craig again with you. I don't think you've done a show with Chuck in about 20 years. But anyway, what's your thought on the matchup tonight?
Well, I watched the games this weekend while sitting on my couch grinning next to a fresh zebra placenta.
Fresh.
Well, that didn't answer the question, though. Who do you like tonight between Kentucky and Kansas?
Well, I've spent a lot of time analyzing this matchup, Chuck, because if there's one thing I know more about than college basketball, it's bird lubricants.
God. Well, you're obsessed with birds for some reason.
But I think this is going to be a good game, Chuck.
Well, what do you see happening?
Did you see Anthony Davis, Chuck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Some say he has a unibrow, but I say he has a ball sack with the capacity of an oil drum, Chuck.
How would you notice something like that?
I'm very impressed with that young man.
Mm-hmm.
Half of me wants to teach him everything I know about basketball, and the other half of me wants to have sex with a centaur.
But that other half really doesn't have anything to do with Anthony Davis.
I think Kentucky has a good chance to win it all, Chuck.
Wow, that's going out on the limb.
And I think I have a good chance of making myself into a human pretzel while a dog reads poetry off my taint.
Oh, my gosh.
This is the always weird Billy Tubbs with us, sizing up tonight's matchup. You like the two coaches?
Well, I had a long conversation with Bill Self's toupee last night, Chuck. You know what it told me?
Huh?
Hair today, gone tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh. Huh. He didn't pick a winner or anything, didn't give any sort of insight to the matchup.
Jim Nance once choked me to within an inch of my life, Chuck.
Oh, my God. Really?
He did this to celebrate Easter.
That's really weird, Billy.
I have a shoebox full of nipples, Chuck.
Oh, my God. That sounds criminal and insane.
They're bottles.
I keep it under my bed made of carrots.
Coach, we may have to let you go just because we're not getting a whole lot and you don't sound of sound mind.
Do you ever sit around comparing mayonnaise to fishing?
No.
Never.
I have a computer in my rectum, Chuck. It's counting all the turtles in the world as we speak.
Oh, my gosh.
The cops were at my house again last night, Chuck.
Oh, no.
It took them more than 20 minutes to get the vicar into custody because of all the lube.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm insane now, Chuck.
Now. Billy?
Oh, there he goes.
Well, we never got his pick.
But more on last night's national championship game. Louisville beats Michigan, and joining us now on the ticket hotline is our college basketball analyst, the longtime college coach. He coached in a championship game before at Oklahoma, also coached at Lamar. It's the great Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, Chuck.
It's actually Craig and George
Yeah,
here.
I'm George.
How are you?
That's good to hear, Chuck.
Well, what'd you think of last night's championship game?
I know the question on all your viewers' minds, Chuck.
Listeners.
Do zebras love their placentas as much as I do? But I will answer that by saying that basketball has been very good to me, Chuck.
Okay.
All right.
that completes my answer to the zebra placenta question.
Well, we didn't ask the zebra question at all. We were just asking about last night's title game.
I sleep on a bed made of chickpeas and insults, Chuck.
Do you know Rick Pitino personally? Have you had many conversations with him over the years?
That's true, Chuck. I suspect that my cat has nuclear capabilities, Chuck. This is why I've kind of backed off on correcting him.
All right.
In fact, he tore up my copy of The Shroud of Turin last week, so now I have nothing to wear to bed, Chuck.
Oh, my gosh.
This is Billy Tubbs, our college basketball analyst. Always a little out there on the fringe. Mm-hmm. But can we focus on the game?
Yes, Chuck.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. What did you think of Louisville in general?
Hey, good news, Chuck. I'm planning on coming to Texas in June. So, do you know if murder is still illegal in your state, Chuck?
That's a ridiculous question. Of course it is.
Okay, maybe I'll go to Korea instead, Chuck.
Korea? Did you watch the game last night? Can we start there, maybe?
I went to a plumping party with the ghost of Elizabeth Taylor, Chuck.
Man.
I injected enough silly putty into my nuts that it looks like I've got a pot-bellied pig in a leg lock, Chuck. I did this for basketball.
Oh, okay. All right. We're getting back to basketball.
Yeah, back to hoop.
So what did you think of John Beilein down the stretch and the calls that he made? And
Under my house, Chuck, there's a small grave, Chuck, and buried inside that grave is a piece of string I found in a park.
That is insane. What does that have to do with Louisville and Michigan?
One thing I have learned from marriage, Chuck, is that crunched up Fritos make a bad lubricant.
Oh
my.
And it chafes the cow's armpit, Chuck.
What? You still with us?
I'm currently suspended from the ceiling, Chuck, by a series of intricate ropes attached to my nipples. So it's kind of hard to hear you sometimes, Chuck. And I'm doing this while reading Twilight and being ass-tickled by a feather, Chuck.
What?
On the other end of that feather is an aardvark, Chuck.
What is going on in your home right now?
I have a question about basketball for you, Chuck.
All right.
You ever let a spider bite your penis just to see how big it'll make it?
No. What does that have to do with basketball?
I'm writing a poem for you, Chuck.
Okay.
But I'm having problems finishing it.
All right.
Do you know anything that rhymes with your massive severed vagina, Chuck?
All right, let's go ahead and hang up. We're not getting anywhere.
Thank you.
Last time ever.
Chuck.
Thank you, Billy.
Happy basketball.
Thank you.
We'll see you. That's allegedly Billy Tubbs. 8:49 here on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
NCAA tournament down to the Sweet 16. Action will resume on Thursday. And joining us now on the ticket hotline to talk about the tournament is our college basketball expert, the former head coach at Oklahoma and TCU, the great Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Chuck.
It's actually Craig and George here on the ticket. Just wondering what you think of the tournament so far.
I'm excited about the tournament, Chuck. Last night I slept in a bed of eels, and one of them did the kindness of burrowing deep inside my bowels, Chuck.
Oh, gosh.
So boyhood dreams do come true.
Well,
That's nobody's
congratulations, I guess.
Hey, it's been a great tournament, don't you think? It's been some pretty good live action.
I was so surprised that Dayton made it this far in the tournament, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
that I stapled my nuts to the ceiling and sang away in a manger until all the prisoners were released.
Odd reaction, but okay.
Do you know what I have found to be the best lubrication for a tractor, Chuck?
What's that?
Mucus with a little bit of blood.
Oh, my God.
Chuck.
This is Billy Tubbs with us talking about the NCAA tournament. So who's your favorite from here on out?
Have you also been glued to the television set, Chuck, watching the action?
Yeah, we've watched a lot of it.
I have watched a lot of it, too. I sit and watch the game until the pit bull runs out of peanut butter.
Well, who you got in your Final Four?
I filled out my bracket, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
I originally just put down a bunch of vegetables. But then I thought I should change it. So in my Final Four, I have Homeschool USA, Crispin Glover, a City of Garland garbage truck, and a hot dog dispenser.
That's your Final Four.
Wow.
With a styrofoam cup of unknown pudding taking it all.
Well,
That's a different team.
That would be a Final Five. I'm not sure your bracket's going to work out for you.
I was beaten in 1988, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right.
By the Kansas.
By the Kansas, uh-huh.
Danny and the Miracles is what they called that.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what the real miracle is, that some horse owner hasn't chased me down and shot me in the back.
Got to be careful.
I once tried to see how many anvils I could fit up my backside, Chuck.
Anvils?
Turns out it was only half of one.
I was going to say, how many is... The answer is usually no more than one.
My rear looked like a boa constrictor trying to swallow a lawnmower.
All right. We're just trying to talk hoop with you, and we really haven't had much insight from you when it comes to college basketball.
I don't fault that little boy for crying, Chuck.
No, we don't either.
I tell you what makes me cry. Getting my nuts ripped off by a zebra. Good morning, Chuck.
Morning. All right.
We got nothing.
There you go.
And, of course, we've got the NCAA tournament, big day 2 of the first round, if you will, on tap today. And joining us now on the ticket hotline is our college basketball expert. He's the former head coach at TCU. He took Oklahoma to the championship game in '88. He used to do a show here on the ticket. It's the always enigmatic Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Chuck. It's always good to be on with you, especially on this beautiful Easter Sunday.
Well, a couple of corrections. It's not Chuck. He hasn't worked here in about 20 years. It's Craig and Donovan, and it's not Easter yet.
I hear you, Chuck, all the way from my house on this beautiful Easter Sunday.
Okay. Well, why don't we start off with some of the upsets yesterday? What did you think about Baylor getting knocked off by Georgia State?
In some ways, you could say college basketball has been my life, Chuck. And in another way, you could say that torturing poultry has been my greatest financial achievement. Chuck.
Financial. So did Baylor underachieve this year? What surprised you about that game?
Sometimes when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, I trip over the bucket of vomit I keep beside my manger in case of emergencies, Chuck.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that. Since you don't want to talk Baylor, what about SMU and the controversial goaltending call?
The only thing worse than goaltending is not goaltending, Chuck. I
I take that back. Not committing murder when given the chance is the greatest crime. Punishable by goaltending, Chuck.
Not committing is the greatest crime.
That's right, Chuck.
Okay. Yeah, again, it's Craig and Donovan.
I have written a special Christmas poem for you, Chuck.
Okay.
Do you want me to give it to you on the 4th of July or Labor Day? Ladies' choice.
How about right now? Is that possible, or is that not an option?
It's not an option, Chuck.
Right.
Because of all the paperwork I'm currently doing.
All right.
Can I ask you something personal, Chuck?
Sure.
Do you know how many giraffes I can fit in my Miata, Chuck?
They still make Miatas?
I need to find out before I start my Uber service, Chuck.
You think you're going to get calls from giraffes?
I don't think a Miata is a good Uber car either.
As I speak with you, I'm suspended from the rafters of an abandoned warehouse, wearing only a smeared cow patty for clothing, Chuck.
Do you want to talk basketball, or is this a bad time? Because I'm curious what you think about Rick Barnes' future.
Oh, my God, the bishop just fell off the breeding bench, and the pony's hooves are skittering in the lube, Chuck.
What's going on at that warehouse?
Will you write me a letter of recommendation, Chuck?
Sure.
Okay. Send it to the Marsupial School for Women, care of Willie Stargell, Chuck. Good morning, Chuck.
Okay. Wow.
Man, I had a basketball question also.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did, but man.
Billy was even stranger than usual this morning. I don't think Pops is still with us, right? It must be another Willie Stargell.
How can you wear a cow patty? I don't understand.
All right, that's our college basketball expert, Billy Tubbs. It's 8:44 on the ticket. And this week, the NCAA tournament cranks up. It is one of the big events on the sports calendar. Everybody's got a bracket. Everybody's trying to win their office pool. So this week, we traditionally like to bring on our number one college basketball analyst. He's the former head coach at Oklahoma and TCU. It's the legendary Billy Tubbs. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Chuck.
It's actually Craig and George. Happy NCAA.
That's good to hear, Chuck.
Happy NCAA tournament week to you.
Well, happy NCAA tournament to you too, Chuck. I have been following the future so I can recap it for you, Chuck.
Okay, who's going to win?
Kurt Thomas is still the best player I've ever seen in March Madness, Chuck.
He was a good one.
He's also the best player I've ever seen wearing a thong and squatting 20 feet above my face on a bathroom break, Chuck.
Oh.
I may not want to go public with that, Coach.
Okay, Chuck.
So do you have a favorite or a sleeper, or what do you see when you look at the brackets?
I once played basketball against a chicken.
Who won?
It wasn't fun because the chicken only spoke Vietnam, Chuck.
Vietnamese?
I don't know how that would really affect the whole game, but okay.
I hear the TCU job is open again, Chuck.
Yes, it is.
Maybe it's time I come back to the Horned Frog organization, Chuck.
Well, that'd be interesting.
If I took the job, I would refuse to take a salary, Chuck.
Why?
I would like to be paid in sand and breast milk.
Oh, my gosh.
Chuck.
That would be the first contract of its kind.
Do you like Holstein cows, Chuck? because I made one for you for Christmas.
How can you make a Holstein cow?
You know, Coach, you always had a reputation of being a little nuts, and you're really...
It has Wi-Fi, Chuck.
The Holstein cow does?
Wow.
You mean like those Chick-fil-A mascots, one of those things?
Not the ones on the billboards, Chuck. I'm talking about the ones that walk on the ground. You know, the fake ones.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you...
The real ones are on the billboards painting it.
Right.
Okay. I think I follow you there.
What do you make of Kansas being the number 1 overall seed?
Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. And at those times, I'm speaking Spanish, which I don't understand, Chuck.
That's really weird. So if you can't see the future, just give us one pick.
Sometimes during sexual congress, I scream out the name of whatever bishop is clamping the vice to my scrotum.
Oh, gosh.
And sometimes I scream the name of the bishop who is next to him.
What is going on
really
in your private life?
Do you want a basketball fun fact, Chuck?
Well, sure.
Did you know that I was born with my right eyeball in the left socket and the left eyeball in the right socket?
I guess that's a basketball fact because you were a basketball coach, yeah.
To this day, that is still the reason I don't trust Puerto Ricans.
All right,
Chuck.
That doesn't make any sense.
I am writing you a short story, Chuck. You die in the first sentence, and there is no second sentence.
Boy, that is a really short story.
That's weird.
Chuck.
Creepy.
Chuck, you and I have a lot in common, Chuck. We have both survived 10 years now, drinking only our own urine and reading poetry, Chuck.
I haven't been doing that.
That is a funny lie you just told, Chuck.
No, it's not.
I have to go now and get ready for the future because it is becoming the past, Chuck.
Okay. See you, Billy. Happy tournament time to you. That's former TCU coach Billy Tubbs with us on the ticket.